Welcome to Beyond by Wings, the business side of dentistry, brought to you by Edwards & Associates PC. Join us as we discuss how to build your dental practice, optimize your income, and plan for your future. This podcast is distributed with the understanding that Edwards & Associates PC is not rendering legal, accounting, or professional advice. Listeners should consult with their business advisors before acting on any of the information that is shared. At Edwards & Associates PC, our business is the business of dentistry. For help or more information, visit our website at enassociates.com. Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond by Wings. My name is Ash, and in today's episode we have a very special guest. His name is Luke Oyler. He's with CARR, and they help clients, more specifically dental clients, find the best location for their potential practices or even transitions, sometimes even lease renegotiations. Now, to talk more about that, Luke, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great, Ash. I appreciate you taking the time to just chat with me.
Oh, absolutely. So tell our listeners a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so CARR, we've been around for 17 years. We founded in Colorado, and all we do is just kind of like you mentioned, we help dentists and specialists find lease space, maybe a purchase ground up. If it has to do with real estate on the lease or purchase side, we are there to be an advisor and an advocate for our clients and to really honestly help them find the best terms that we can get them on that lease or that purchase, that renewal, and just have someone on their side representing them so they're not doing it alone. Maybe, dentists are busy, they're busy folks, and it takes a lot of energy to find the right space, to locate the right area of town, little factors. But bottom line is we are real estate agents here to help the wonderful providers in the dental community find their lease
and let's talk
opportunities.
Let's talk a little bit about, besides them being busy, why should they actually consider utilizing a professional to help them locate the perfect spot?
It's a great question, Ash. Leases it's one of your highest expenses, right, for the practice. Your leases can be expensive, and have a professional on your side like CARR. One, we're negotiating. We know the markets, right? We know what landlords are willing to give. There's a lot of stuff that someone can leave on the table, right, where they spend a lot more money on a lease or a purchase, just not knowing the right tools or the right questions to ask or the right negotiation skills to present with the landlord, right? Okay. What they should be asking for, what the landlord should be giving them.
Right. Give us some examples. What kind of things they should be negotiating? Yeah,
so some things that we like to negotiate that are pretty standard is one, there's always an advertised lease rate out there, X amount of dollars per square foot. That's kind of like the sticker price that everyone wants for something, right? You put that on a car. This is what I'm asking. Well, there's always going to be a negotiation on that price. And so we attack that. We go after that, especially if it's a startup or maybe an additional office. We're looking at not only the base rent, but we're looking at tenant improvement dollars from the landlord that's not wrapped into the lease. Building out a dental space is expensive. So we're asking for, it depends on the market. Every market's different, but $60, maybe up to $100 a square foot from that landlord to contribute towards their build out, because that cuts costs down significantly. And that's based on, per square foot. If it's $60 per square foot, I mean, that can add up quickly.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then especially if they're, like I said, a startup or maybe a new location, we're explaining to the landlord, this doctor, he's going to get in day one, see some patients, he's going to bill. Doesn't mean he's getting his money back. That it's not coming back day two, week one, week two, whatever. It's a long process to get reimbursed for your services, and so we ask for free rent up front, like abated rent. So once the project's complete, they move in, they have free rent built in up front to give them an easy, slower process before they're having to pay full rent. So a lot of that adds up. You can save a doctor hundreds of thousands of dollars on their 10-year lease.
Absolutely. And especially if you're a startup, and you're trying to set aside a good contingency fund for your working capital.
Absolutely.
If you can take out the lease portion per month until it's built up, that's huge savings right there.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the tenant improvement allowance, right? So you're basically saying that the landlord can pay a certain amount towards the improvement, the leasehold improvement.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So how that, it depends on what area of the country you're in. You could have a build out that could be $175 a square foot for dental. You could have a build out that is $300 a square foot. And so we get, if most dentists are signing 10-year leases, right? The lender's requiring that for them to have an option to be in that space for 10 years because that's how long their loan is for their equipment, for the build out, all that. And so the landlord knows, hey, I've got a great tenant. They're going to pay and they're going to be here for 10 years. And, that's the landlord's business. He's there to make money, right? But they also, a smart landlord knows that if I invest into this space and help this Class A tenant come in, I've got a better chance of maintaining that tenant for a much longer period of time than 10 years.
Yeah, possibly a renewal or not worrying about defaulting or, applying for bankruptcy, what have you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. And you're saying that amount can be negotiated?
That amount can be definitely negotiated. We see that a lot where if a doctor's unrepresented, they may not even know to negotiate that, right? Or the landlord says, hey, I'll give you $10 a square foot. I'm going to give you this great deal. That's not a great deal, not for someone. I mean, if $10 a square foot may be great for someone else, like if all you need is paint and carpet, right? That's going to really cover a lot of it. But it's for a dentist, they need a lot more than that, and it's definitely a negotiating point that no dentist shouldn't approach. They need to approach it, and they need to make sure that they are just maximizing those credits that they can get essentially from the landlord.
I see. And then you, working with a company like CARR, you have access to certain stats, data, resources that allow you to negotiate that.
Yes, sir.
Right. Yeah. So even if somebody, let's say, spends a good amount of time educating themselves on how to negotiate this, and that is useful, but they may not have access to the resources that they need to use as support or backup for those negotiations.
Absolutely. And, it's just, in CARR, we're nationwide, and all of us operate within our markets. So we're local market experts. We know what the standard is that landlords are giving, even the standard for that market for escalation of that rent, right? It's not just, they're not just going to get the same rent rate year one as they will year 10. That's going to escalate up. But what are those market standards, right? What landlords are trying to push way too high on that. And we see that with inflation. Some landlords are pushing 5, 6, 7% escalation on base rent. That gets that's not market standard. And it gets very, very costly for that provider if they don't know that that's not standard. So.
Sure. And the triple net, which is separate from the base rent, of course, that's going to go up with the increase in property taxes and whatnot. So you have a double whammy there.
Yeah. So you factor all those in, and I mean, dentists, they could pay hundreds of thousands more dollars on their lease rate over that 10-year period, and that affects the bottom line. It affects, sometimes it affects them getting new equipment, affects them hiring new staff. It's just it's the second highest expense, right?
That's true. Absolutely. So let's move to lease renegotiation. I think this would be a good point to talk about that. So would you say they should also look into working with a professional when it's almost at that time to think about renewal or to negotiate renewal?
Yes, absolutely. So we do a lot of lease renewals. Landlords, a smart landlord is going to come to the dentist 6 months, 3 months before their lease expires, and they're going to push the lease in front of them and say, hey, it's time for your renewal. Smart landlord's going to also know that dentist does not have time at that point to find a new space, build it out, and they've got the tenant trapped. And so it takes the dentist, it puts them in a position where they have no negotiation ability at that point. So for us, our strategy, we want to get in at least a year before that renewal and get the doctor out to market. Even if they want to stay in their spot, we still need to get them out to market, let them see what's available, and we negotiate with landlords to see what kind of other deals are available out there. And then we can take those negotiations back to their current landlord and say, hey, this is what Dr. Smith is getting at this other location. It's newer, it's nicer, it's better visibility. It may have more room because they need to expand their practice anyways. And this is a high consideration, but you have landlord, you have an incredible tenant here. If you want to maintain them, then we're going to need some negotiation on this that's going to incentivize them to stay.
Absolutely. And you're giving back some leverage to the tenant.
Absolutely. Yeah, we put the leverage back in the tenant, back in the doctor's court instead of the landlord. A smart landlord's going to maintain that posture and try and be in control as much as possible, where the tenant feels like they have no options but to stay.
Right.
And we want to reverse that in a good way, but we want to empower the dentist to feel like they have an option for the future growth and vitality of their practice.
Absolutely. And I would imagine for a dental practice, it must be easier for a landlord to maintain that stature because of all the heavy equipment, and they're probably aware that it's very expensive to move a dental office from one location to another.
Yeah, and it is. Yeah, and there's services that are out there, and it depends on the lease. There's, cabinetry is very expensive.
That's right.
In the dental world, but that's also considered a trade fixture. So in many leases, there's verbiage in there where that doctor is still allowed to take that cabinetry with them, take obviously their chairs, their all that equipment with them, but we see a lot of dentists, they if it's been well worn, for the last 10, 15 years, they're ready for new stuff. There's new technology out there, and so it just gives the landlord or the tenants and the dentists an opportunity just to take that. I don't want to say take the power back, right? But
but
just
get the ball back in the court.
Yeah. You always want to make sure you want to have a feeling that you are in control of your practice, right?
Absolutely. And then someone like yourself could empower them with that.
Absolutely.
Not make them feel like they don't have any say in the matter at all.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, dentists, they go to school to own their own business, right? And they want to be successful, and that's real estate is one of the biggest expenses they'll ever have in their career. And so we want to position them where they feel like they are making sound decisions for their practice, for future growth, and just making sure it's successful.
So I would also want to go back to what you have already mentioned, which is contact the professional at least a year before the lease is about to expire.
Yes, sir.
Because, as you said, to get that leverage, some work has to be put in, and that requires time.
Yeah, it does.
Right.
Yeah, and so we need a dentist needs time to get out to market, see what's available, start considering things, and it just all that takes some time. But you really want at least a year because it's build out could be 6 months, it could be 8 months, and that's after you've already seen the properties, anything you've negotiated on, come to lease terms, all that. It just takes time. You also need to re-engage your lender. You need to engage your GC. There's all these pieces of the puzzle that have to come together to make sure that project is a success if that doctor is going to move somewhere else. And even if they choose to stay, they're empowered with that information that, hey, maybe I do have a great lease rate. Maybe this is the place I need to stay. I've seen other options in the market, and it settles them to know that okay, this is still a good place. Or man, I can go over there and I can expand into this new space. It's on the corner of First and Main. I've got better visibility, and this is an opportunity for me to really grow and get myself out there a little bit more visible to the public that I'm reaching out to.
Of course, yeah. And now let's address the big question. How much would it cost the dentist to work with a professional like you?
Zero. And that sounds gimmicky. No, so the way agents are paid, I mean, we're real estate agents, is most professional landlords have representation on their side. So they have a professional agent working for them, representing the landlord. Much like a real estate, residential real estate transaction, when we get involved, there's already a set fee that landlord is going to pay his agent. We simply go in and we just split that cost, that fee. So we add no additional fee. We don't invoice our clients. In fact, we're very upfront with that. It's in our agency agreements that they're not going to pay us. And if the landlord chooses not to pay us, I'm going to look my client in the eye and shake their hand and say, hey, we did a good job for you. Just tell your friends, right? Just refer me some business. But and unfortunately, it does happen. Not often, but it does happen. And it's just one of those things. But no, it costs our clients nothing to work with us. Are they going to spend money elsewhere? Yes. Are they going to be invoiced from other services? Their supply companies, the GCs. Yes, that's all part of doing business. But as far as everything that we do at CARR, it's and that's everything from finding them the lease space, just even looking at their lease itself and just seeing if they have a good lease, like really evaluating that lease for them, like what current terms do they have, what is it escalating at, all those different things. Like we can do we can review those leases for them and just make sure they have a fair deal. Doesn't mean they need to go out and do something new with us, but hey, is there room for negotiation upon renewal? So we look at all those things for them, and none of that's at a cost to our clients.
Wow, that's fantastic. That really is fantastic. Now, the other question I have for you is, if they, and this is, I guess, more specific to CARR. Right? I know that CARR does something a little different from the other competitors. Mm-hmm. So from the point of the discovery call, right, what happens?
Yeah. So just like any other agency out there, we just have to have a legal agency agreement with them. Every state's different, so every state has kind of their own agency agreement. So once that's signed, it gives us the ability to negotiate on their behalf, represent them. So after that first initial, which can be a good conversation. There's a lot of education to go into this along the way. But we get our clients out to market. We find out what their requirement is, the size, the area, town, different things, and we start searching. And we take that doctor. We love to have the spouse come along because the spouse is just as much a part of it. Even if they're not at the practice, they're just as much a part of it. And we go tour, and we look at spaces and find out which space looks the nicest to them, where they would feel the most comfortable, and then we'll actually let the doctor pick out maybe 2, 3, 4 of their top choices, and we negotiate all of those side by side simultaneously, and then we come back and deliver all those results to the doctor. Hey, this is what landlord A, B, C, and D. This is everything that they're offering, and that goes. You negotiate back and forth for a little bit. None of that's binding. It doesn't hold the doctor to have to commit to any of those spaces at all. And we present those to the doctor and say, hey, this is what this landlord's offering in the tenant improvement dollars that we talked about, in free rent. This is how much they've discounted your base rent. And, we kind of compare them side by side and show them the real numbers of what that looks like, what it would look like over a potential 10-year term. Or if they're only wanting 5 years, what that's going to look like on a 5-year. And just sometimes it's just an easy decision, right? You look at one space and it's very comparable to another, and there could be a couple $1,000 difference, and that sometimes that's just an easy decision. Other times, it comes down to what the landlord's willing to offer and how much is coming out of the dentist pocket for build out or different things. So.
That's right. And then I believe you guys store all of that information so that when it's time for their renewal, they get a notification.
Yes. Yep. It's all in our system. Once they're a client and they've got a lease in hand and they've got a new whether it's a new place or renewal. We're going to keep track of when that lease comes up so that we can get with them ahead of time and make sure, like, hey, is this still the place for you? Do we need to get back out to market? Do we need to? And we realize it's it's very expensive, right, to build out your own dental office. So a lot of our clients do. They choose to stay and renew, maybe for 5 years, maybe longer. But it's, we understand. So, but we're gonna approach our clients again, around that, that time frame when the renewal's coming up, and just see how we can help them, whether it's renegotiate that lease, lease renewal, and we approach it. At least I approach it like it's a new lease, right? Because I'm coming back and I'm asking for the same points that we did 10 years prior for tenant improvement allowance. We're looking at the base rent. We're potentially free rent. We're looking at all these items to just negotiate with the landlord.
So you actually brought up a very good point. This is something I get asked quite a bit. So you're essentially saying that during renewal, they could ask for tenant improvement allowance again?
Absolutely. I mean, spaces get tired and worn out, right? New flooring, new paint, maybe, their lab space, the countertops could just be worn out because they're used pretty heavy. New countertop cabinetries, new maybe reception, new countertops at the reception, just making everything look new and fresh again is something that landlords are willing to do.
Wow. See, I'm sure a lot of you guys didn't know that. So this would be a good point where I guess you share your contact information with our listeners, just in case if they want to know more about how this works, or maybe work with you.
Yeah. One, you can find any of our agents nationwide on our company website. That's www.carr.us, and you can search by state. You can search by the agent's names. It usually has a little profile of that agent and kind of the territories that they're in, and sometimes the verticals that they really focus on, or the specialty that they really like to focus on. And email's always an easy way. If they wanted to contact me personally, it's Luke.Oyler. It's luke.oyler@carr.us, and then we just start engaging these clients as those needs come in, as those questions come in, and we're always happy just to educate people, right? This is something that we want to be advisors. We want to be a resource, and we have. And speaking of resources, I mean, we have, not only do we do what we do on our side with the real estate, but we have access and just market knowledge with everything from lenders, CPAs, which is always needed, GCs, attorneys, space planners, architects, all that. We've got those resources. We know who does a good job in the market, and that's part of our job, is making sure that, hey, our clients, that they're accessing these
team of experts.
Yeah. You need everything, and it takes a lot to get a business going and keep it going.
It's true. Well, thank you so much for being on our episode today, Luke. A lot of valuable information, and like always, it's always a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah. Well, I just appreciate the opportunity. You guys are doing great things, and it's fun to be a part of this world. We got some really pretty incredible shared clients, right? That are out there helping others, and it's a privilege just to be a part of that process with them.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, thank you, Ash.
Thank you, Luke. Thanks for listening today. Be sure to subscribe to Beyond by Wings on your favorite podcast platform. For more information, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, or reach out to us on our website. You can also shoot us an email at info@eandassociates.com.